Mr. Crape, Mr. Sterner, Mr. Kuvenhoven, Mr. Skypeck, Mr. Best, Mr. Goloblishvili. Attention. Go.
Taking Kankel for second, and it looks like Kankel's going to come in for third. A fantastic sprint by all of these rowers in the last 250 meters. Really put on a great show of their rowing expertise in the C final of the men's youth single.
All right, David, we have a finish here. Let's see what you have at the start for the B final of the men's single.
Thank you very much. I am looking at the B final. It's starting to space out a little bit, but let me set the field for you. Up in lane 2, Mr. Kropp from Stanford Rowing Center. Lane 3 is Mr. Sterner from Culver Military Academy in Indiana. In lane 4, Baltimore's Mr. Cohenhoven. In lane 5, Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast on the east coast of Florida. In lane 6, Mr. Best, who is rowing unaffiliated. And in lane 7, I have avoided saying this gentleman's name all weekend, but because he is winning right now, I'm going to take a stab at it. I apologize ahead of time if I butcher it. It is from Norwalk River, Mr. Golubishvili. He is leading. He's got almost a deck here, or what would be about a seat. It's very close between he and Mr. Best in lanes 6 and 7 at 500 meters. There also are a bunch of yellow boats in this. This is kind of our Empacher singles final this morning. There look like 3 Empachers out there, and now your leader is the gentleman in lane 6. So your early leader was the gentleman in lane 7 in the black fluid design with the white blades. He is from Norwalk River. And, wow, actually they're stroke for stroke again, because I just caught him looking over to his right, and he noticed that Mr. Best was out in front. Mr. Best had a lead there. He still does by about a half a seat, maybe a foot lead over Norwalk River in lane 7. The third place crew is the gentleman in lane 5 from Space Coast, Mr. Skypeck. He's rowing in a white boat with blue blades. He's wearing a red hat. Him in 4th place is the gentleman, Mr. Cohenhoven from Baltimore. You can't miss him. He's in a yellow boat, and his unisuit has stripes on the jersey. Can't miss him in that respect. In the 5th place crew is the gentleman up in lane 3. He is also rowing in a beautiful Empacher. It is Mr. Sterner from Culver. And then up in lane 2, Mr. Kropp from Stanford is in 6th place. But out in front still now is Mr. Best. He has a little bit more of a lead. It is a full deck now. And here comes Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast. He has worked his way into the mix quite a bit more. He is much closer to that 2nd place crew from Norwalk River in lane 7. So it is lanes 5 through 7 that are all connected here, that are going to come through the 1,000-meter mark in places 1 through 3. It is Mr. Best in lane 6 out in front. It is the Norwalk River gentleman in lane 7 in 2nd, and it is Mr. Skypeck in lane 5 in 3rd place. A little bit of open water back to Mr. Cohenhoven from Baltimore. He is in 4th. Those are your top 4 in the men's single B final as they come down the race course. We will see if Mr. Best can hang on, but those are your top 4 crews as they cruise down your way in the B final. We are going to turn around and go catch the A final.
Thank you, David. Great race making up here on the 1,000-meter mark. A nice triangle there with the unaffiliated Mr. Best, sandwiched between, from Space Coast, Mr. Skypeck, and from Norwalk, I'm going to call him Mr. M. This young man must have a nickname that his coaches and teammates use, because no one uses that last name in practice, I'm sure. Anyway, great race by all of them. Look at, they're still connected across there. A great view of them coming across the line. It is anybody's race. Really relaxed rowing by all 3 of them. I don't see anybody rushed. No one's panicking here. It looks like Mr. Best is trying to pull away a little bit from them, but on the far side, Mr. Skypeck says, no, I'm going to stay with you. Dropping off a little bit is Mr. M from Norwalk. On the far side, you see coming into your picture, I think that may be Mr. Cohenhoven from Baltimore, who's coming back in the picture. Now it looks like the Norwalk rower has said, wait a second, I'm getting off the pace here a little bit, let me get back in this race, and he's picked it up a little bit. So it's going to go back and forth a little bit here, coming up to the 1,500 meter mark. We'll get a nice view of them at 1,500 meters, but what a great picture here looking across the course at the, I'm sure that's their coaches over there riding their bikes along with them. This is a very difficult race for single scullers. They've got to set their own pace, they've got to keep their own race plan, and they've got to motivate themselves. So this is where this middle 500 here is the toughest part of the race for a single sculler, because he's got halfway through the race, he's not seeing the finish line yet, he hasn't seen the red buoys, he's struggling with his endurance and his breathing, and now he's got to go. So look at this on the outside. Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast is inching up every stroke to Mr. Best. It looks like the Norwalk rower has dropped off the pace a little bit. You just see his bow sneaking back in the picture. This is going to be a great race as we get down the course. They're approaching about 300-400 meters to go here. And it looks like the top three have pulled away from the pack a little bit, but they're all connected across there. On the outside, the rower from Baltimore, Mr. Colvenhouse, is still in this race, and outside of him, Mr. Sterner. And on the far side, it looks like dropped off the pack from Stanford is Mr. Carpe. On the inside, though, still in this race from Norwalk, he's really trying to crank it up here. So look at this. They are coming flat down here with about, when they just hit the red buoys, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boats that could medal in this event. So let's stand up and cheer these guys on the beach here, because they've rode a very strategic, very good race here. It looks like, in my view, that from Space Coast, a guy named Mr. Skypeck, that's a great name for a guy from Space Coast, is in the lead right now, coming down the race. He's got about 20 strokes left. It seems like they're all inching up on their ratings here. So we have Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast in the lead, but look, charging is Mr. Best. He sees him. He's going to charge on him. On the outside, at probably the highest rating is the Norwalk rower, Mr. M. He's looking over. Big, strong guy here. He's going to try to pull himself back into second here. But the leader right now, with about 3 strokes left, Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast, and he is going to cross the line first. Congratulations. Followed by Mr. Best, and then from Norwalk, Mr. M. On the far side, it looks like Mr. Steiner, and then Mr. Colvenhoven. Very good rowing. A little bit back on the pack is Mr. Carpe. I don't know if something happened with him or is just struggling here. Anyway, let's take it back up to the top to the A final.
David, here we had a wonderful tactical race where Zachary Skypeck from Space Coast bid his time very nicely to about the last 300 and put on a great sprint, overtaking Justin Best from Unaffiliated, and then coming in third was George Megalobishvili from Norwalk River. Evan, I'm sorry, the coach, if I pronounced his name wrong. We're going to toss it to you for our grand final of the men's youth single.
I got second. I almost had him. I almost had you. Yeah. I was walking on you. Yeah. Good race. Oh yeah. What? Yeah. Unfortunately.